All you got to do is sit for 40 years in a theological seminary and study Judaism and Christianity, and if you're intellectually honest and are not afraid to speak out in public, you're going to know that Judaism and Christianity is the biggest bunch of hogwash the world has ever known. Period. My mother had an uncle when I was growing up. My mother had an uncle who worked in the Vatican Secretary of State's office. I'm Italian. And my mother had an uncle who worked in the Vatican Secretary of State's office. My mother also had 2 federal judges as uncles as I was growing up living in my hometown. And so I know the Catholic Church. I know the Jesuits. I understand the Mafia. I understand La Cosa Nostra. I mean, when I saw Godfather, I felt at home. This is the way I vision life. So I know what I'm talking about. I have spent 42 years reading and studying and researching theology. That's my subject. Government is not my subject. Tomorrow I will bring the man who is the expert on this stuff, and he will really dazzle you with some things that you are not going to believe. But theology and religion is my subject. And I will tell you that I have heard many times people say, well, that there's this bad Jewish religion and there's, of course, the good Jewish religion. I say, after 40 years of this subject and looking at this is the most eclectic, misunderstood, most outrageous collection of stuff I have ever seen in my life. Judaism and Christianity are filled with astrotheology, penis worship, all the sex worship, every kind of filthy, degenerate silliness the world has ever known. And this is today the basis for our legal and judicial system in America. The law of Moses. There was no Moses. I've talked to rabbis 35 years ago. Rabbis, major rabbis. This particular one was the president of the American Rabbinical Association 35 years ago. And I said to him, he lives in Newton, Massachusetts, and I said, Rabbi, tell me, was there an Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a King David, King Solomon? Were these people real? And he says, come on, everybody's got a religion. I mean, the priests tell the Catholics they're going to heaven. You know, the Hindus tell their people something. The Jews got to have their religion. It's just a religion. It's a story. This is why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told. It's a story. It's nothing true. It's a story. And consequently, you're missing the whole point of the Bible if you don't understand who wrote it and what the encrypted story is. There's a spiritual message here, but if you're just reading the top lines, you're not getting it. People running around downstairs talking about the Antichrist. And have no idea in the world what the word Christ means. How in the world are you going to be afraid of an Antichrist and you don't even understand what the word Christ means? Ask any Christian, what does the word Christ mean? I'm very serious about this. Look it up in a dictionary, and as a matter of fact, look it up in about 30 or 40 of them. And study it for about 2 weeks, the word Christ. The word Christ comes from a Greek word Christo, which gives us Crisco cooking oil. Yeah, Pillsbury has a Crisco, which is Christo, which goes back to the word Christ. And Christ means oil. Okay? So when you say Jesus Christ, what you're saying is Jesus the Christos. Iosis Christos, or Jesus the Christos, or Jesus the Crisco. And when oil congeals, it becomes Lord. Look up the word Lord, L-O-R-D, and the Oxford Dictionary of the English Language, and it will tell you L-O-R-D is correctly spelled L-A-R-D, Lord, Congeal Christos. Who the hell reads anymore? I mean, I spent... Now, when you look up the word Christos, it's oil. Then go to Bible reference work. Line them all up. There's about 60 of them out there. Line them all up and look up the word Christ. And they will all tell you it's a word Christos in Greek, which means anointed. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anointed. That's what you think it means. Christo is oil. And in the Hebrew, look up in the Hebrew dictionary, look up the word oil. It's called shemen or semen. Okay? This is why if you're going to be a priest, you got to go to a seminary with altar boys. You don't have any idea in the world what was going on in the Roman Empire. You quite seriously do not know what was going on in the Roman Empire. Without a doubt, the dirtiest, the filthiest, the most obscene thing on the face of the earth is Western religion. Been the background and the mainstream for all wars in the Western world. I, for one, am tired of judges, and I do not intend to crawl on my knees. I prefer dying on my feet in preference to crawling on my knees to some judge. As far as I'm concerned, they're all traitors to this country. Attorneys. The word comes from a French word, attorne. An attorne in France was in the court of the king in France. The guy who, when the king said, I want that guy's property, I want that guy's wife, I want that guy's children, and I want his horses. And so the man who was in charge of turning over everything to the king was referred to in the French as the attorne. He turned things over. He took from you and turned it over to the king. So he was referred to as attorne. And today we have attorneys. That's where the word comes from. They take from the poor and give it to the rich. As far as I'm concerned, you need to understand that the entire superstructure of law in this country is based on maritime admiralty, and the maritime admiralty is saying that you are a product. They bought you when you were born. Now what you need to do is understand that there's a whole revolutionary, radical, new understanding of how this country was founded. And if you don't understand the way this country was founded, you're never going to suspect how you got into this mess. You know, when a cop pulls you over and stops you, and he gives you a ticket, and he takes your license, and he will say, is this you? Well, it's got my picture on it, airhead. Can't you tell if it's me, right? And he says, is this you? Why? Because he needs for you to say that this is you. You are verbally agreeing that on your license is an all capital letters name. On the Maritime Admiralty, a corporate fiction. And they must have you say that this you are agreeing to be a corporate fiction under maritime law. Consequently, the entire system of government and laws is being ruled by England. Do you know why you have to have a marriage license? Why does anybody have to have a license for anything? You got to have a marriage license because sex is commerce. That's why you're doing commerce. Look it up. Look it up in the encyclopedia. Look up the word commerce. It'll tell you sexual relations is commerce. Don't think so? Wait till you go to court. Yeah, wait till the marriage doesn't work out, and when you go in, see, you're not going to go to the Lord. You're going to a judge. Why? Because it's basically commerce. It's two people providing a service. The man provides for the woman provides for the man. It's a business. And if you don't think so, if it don't work out, as I said, you're not going to God, you're going to court. And it's going to cost you some money. Incidentally, the judge rules from a bench. Judge rules from the bench. The word bench in Latin is a bank. So therefore the judge is ruling for the bank.